A belligerent China is at it again. It is threatening India's Siachen glacier. Just take a look at where Siachen is located. It is part of the Indian Union Territory Ladakh and is located in the eastern Karakoram range in the Himalayas, just northeast of the point NJ9842, where the line of control between India and Pakistan ends. At the height of 6,000 feet, Siachen is the world's highest battleground, with soldiers having to battle frostbite, high winds. India has full control over the glacier, and now China has set its eyes on it. It is constructing a road in the illegally occupied Kashmir close to the Siachen glacier. The road is being constructed in Shaksgam Valley, a section of POK ceded to China in 1963. In fact, satellite images show a trail branching out from an extension of Highway G219, which is located in China's Xinjiang province. The trail disappears into the mountains at a place approximately 50 kilometers north of India's northernmost part. The Indra Col in Siachen Glacier. What is Indra Col? It is a forward area of India. In fact, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has toured Indra Col at least 2 times since March. Now, before we go any further, it must be clear that this road is totally illegal. China is brazenly making a road on Indian territory hand in glove with the Pakistani government. You see, when China says that the Kashmir issue is a bilateral dispute between India and Pakistan, it is an attempt at covering up its own tracks. Like I mentioned earlier, Shaksgam Valley is Indian territory illegally ceded by Pakistan to China in the year 1963. And therefore, China's support for Pakistan is motivated by its own desire to continue its land grab. Let me explain how and why it matters. You see, the road that the Chinese are building lies in the Trans-Karakoram Tract. It has historically been part of Kashmir and India. The Trans-Karakoram Tract, spread over about 5,300 square kilometers, was illegally taken by Pakistan in the 1947 war. It was then handed over to China as part of their bilateral boundary agreement, signed in 1963. India, of course, did not recognize it. As far as India is concerned, any change in the status quo in this part of occupied Kashmir amounts to violation of India's sovereignty and territorial integrity. But there is more to it. There are concerns in India that such infrastructure projects threaten the existing security scenario in the region. New Delhi's concerns are also driven by reports of greater military cooperation between Pakistan and China in this region. In 2021, Pakistan's Gilgit-Baltistan province announced plans for a new road connecting Muzaffarabad to Mustaq Pass, which sits on the Pakistan border with Shaksgam Valley. Reports suggested it would be linked to Yarkand in China's Xinjiang province, indicating that the road might pass through the Shaksgam Valley to connect with China's national highway G219. The Chinese are building roads with one purpose. No points for guessing what that is. In one word, control. Defense experts say that the Chinese roads in Shaksgam Valley are primarily meant for transporting minerals like uranium, allegedly mined from Gilgit-Baltistan, to be transported to Xinjiang. But defense experts don't rule out the potential use of these roads for military maneuvers by Pakistan and Chinese armies. You see, in the last several years, China has tried every trick in its playbook to change the status quo at the disputed border with India. China's land grab bids are strategically planned, and the goal is to make a permanent Chinese presence in these areas. What is India's official position? It is clear and has been stated many times. Both Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and Aksai Chin has been and always will be an integral part of India. Therefore, the China-Pakistan nexus in POK violates India's traditional and legal rights and territorial rights. China going ahead and developing infrastructure on this land, therefore, presents a clear and present danger to India, while India's engagement with Pakistan on the line of control is governed by the 1972 Shimla Agreement. There is no such agreement between India and China over the Shaksgam Valley. And that is why China acts so brazenly in this region. Between 2017 and 2018, China built a metalled road in Lower Shaksgam Valley. Then last year, India lodged strong diplomatic protests with Beijing for showing the Siachen Plateau as its official territory. Experts have also pointed how China's infrastructure building in Western Himalayas follows the confrontation that broke out between Indian and Chinese forces at the border in the year 2017. At this point, China's aggressive moves across all sectors of the border with India are well documented. But here's the thing. China's military aggression in POK is far more sinister. New roads, new posts, new infrastructure, they all point to China's goal of opening up an additional route for Chinese troops and tanks along the LAC. India and China have already fought one war over Siachen in 1962. At that time as well, China's road building triggered the war. Is China trying to repeat history? And our next story is about China's global spy network. You heard that right. It has America and Europe worried. With every agent and operation, Chinese spies are becoming bolder and more dangerous. Just take the case of Europe, where within the span of a week, 3 alleged spies for China were arrested in Germany. 2 more suspects, in fact, were charged in the UK. 2 weeks ago, we told you about sleeper cells in the Philippines and the allegations over the same. Analysts warn that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Is China becoming a major spying superpower? Here's what's new. Last week, Germany and the UK announced that 5 individuals had been arrested or charged on suspicion of spying for China. Now, the timing is very crucial. They were busted in the lead up to the European elections. While the West has had to grapple with claims of Chinese espionage for a while now, it now looks like the Chinese spies have reached high offices in Europe.
Chinese spies are not gathering information only, but they are also using their possibilities for getting political influence. So especially in this case of this member of the European Parliament. And China is using its spy activity to getting political influence, especially on extremist parties on the far right and on the far left.
In fact, one of the accused charged in London was a researcher for the UK Parliament. It means that this person would have had access to politicians, to people who could actually influence Britain's policy, especially about China. Another person arrested in Germany was an aide to a far-right member of the European Parliament. While there is no direct evidence linking the cases in UK and Germany, they coincide with repeated Western warnings about China's growing spy network. The West has expressed concern about China's attempts to spy on European economies and companies, infiltrate their educational institutions, and also shape public opinion. These cases are a warning in bright red. They are a stark reminder of China's extensive intelligence network and its capability to infiltrate European capitals. What does China have to say about it, you ask? It vehemently denies allegations of wrongdoing. The Chinese embassies in Berlin and London rejected the spying accusations. The Chinese embassies described these charges, in fact, as political manipulation aimed at hurting the image of China. But experts are not surprised. They have for long warned about Chinese spies. The US knows a thing or two about the Chinese threat, but its friends across the Atlantic, Europe, has been slow to recognize this very threat. And Europe is now in a fix. The governments do not know how to deal with the Chinese threat. You see, a strict action against China would be bad for business. After all, the EU has built itself on the principles of free trade and multilateralism. The arrests in Germany came just days after the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz visited Beijing to clinch deals for his country's agriculture sectors. And what's more, Chinese President Xi Jinping is also scheduled to visit Paris, Budapest, Belgrade soon. No wonder then European leaders face a rather tricky balance. While the West grapples with these questions, the vast and multifaceted Chinese spy network continues to grow. And here's what else we know about China's spy network. According to Western intelligence agencies, Chinese spying activities, particularly those led by its civilian espionage body, the Ministry of State Security, are real. What is the Ministry for State Security? It is a civilian secret police service that the US describes as a combination of FBI and CIA. In fact, they say that it is responsible for both counterintelligence as well as political security for Chinese Communist regime. It has also been accused of spying abroad along with the theft of foreign intelligence and technology. So how exactly do the Chinese spy networks operate? What's their modus operandi? By focusing on safeguarding the regime's survival, intelligence gathering, and also information warfare, it involves a wide array of actors, from state organizations to non-state entities like hacktivists, private security companies. However, the true extent of China's spy operations remains elusive, basically due to the opaque nature of its bureaucratic system.
China and, of course, the other rival powers will make use of all available means in order to secure their security, their national security, the definition of which is becoming more broad, and at the same time to gain advantage. And so through means fair and foul, through the use of a wide range of means already at their disposal.
Further, there is a lack of verifiable information. What is the end goal, you ask? Undermining the hegemony of the West. According to analysts, China's best friend in this game is Russia. The writing is on the wall. There are signs that Chinese espionage network often intersect with Russian networks. They both have similar goals, by the way. They win by sowing doubt about democracy and gaining influence among those that challenge political divisions. As far as the scale of the China spying operations in Europe is concerned, it is potentially vast. Europe has increased its focus on the Chinese spy network after the Ukraine war started. Europe has just scratched the surface of the Chinese threat. Is it too late? Only time will tell. After mass-producing COVID-19 vaccines throughout the pandemic, the pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca has made an alarming admission. For the first time, it has admitted that its vaccines can cause a rare side effect. It is called TTS, thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome. People suffering from it, from TTS, can develop blood clots and a low blood platelet count. There are at least 52 people, in fact, who have filed cases against AstraZeneca, linking its COVID-19 vaccines with TTS. Victims and their relatives are seeking damages worth up to $125 million. In documents submitted to the UK High Court with regard to these cases, AstraZeneca said, quote unquote, it is admitted that the AstraZeneca vaccine can, in very rare cases, cause thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome. The causal mechanism is not known, quote unquote.